Hello students, this is your history lesson. In this lesson, we are going to read chapter 6, Akbar, the consolidation of the Mughal Empire. So you are supposed to open page number 38 and start reading with me. First of all, I'll tell you the glossary, so you may be able to understand more about this chapter. First word is precarious. Precarious, dependent on chance. Mahat, a person who walks with rides and tends an elephant. Three, contenders. Contenders or contender, a person or group competing with others to achieve something. 4. Intrigue. Intrigue makes secret plans to do something illicit. 5. Reconciliation. Reconciliation, a situation in which two people or group of people become friendly again after they have agreed. 6. Indigo, a blue dye obtained from a plant. 6. Saltpeter. Saltpeter, chemical, potassium nitrate. 8. Confluence. Confluence, the junction of two rivers, especially rivers of approximately equal worth. 9. Orthodox. Orthodox, following to the traditional or generally accepted rules or beliefs of a religion. 10. Infallibility. Infallibility and inability to be wrong. 11. Decree. Decree, an official order that has the force of law. 12. Creed, a system of religious belief. 13. Tenacity. Tenacity, the quality or fact of being able to grip something firmly. 14. Diverse, showing a great deal of variety. 15. Wield. Wield, hold and use a weapon or tool. Now we will start reading. The consolidation of the Mughal Empire. What is meant by consolidation? Consolidation means the action or process of making something stronger or more solid. And who was Akbar? Abul Fateh Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar, popularly known as Akbar the Great and also as Akbar I, was the third Mughal emperor who reigned from 1556 to 1605. Akbar succeeded his father Humayun under a regent Bahram Khan, who helped the young emperor expand and consolidate Mughal domains in India. Akbar became the ruler of the Mughal Empire at the young age of 13 with Bahram Khan as his regent. Who is regent? A person appointed to administer a state because the monarch is a minor or is absent or incapacitated. For the next 4 years, the challenges to Akbar's power were effectively handled by Bahram Khan, who managed to defeat him. Hemu, the Rajput leader, and the other rivals or rival, a person or thing competing with another for the some objectives. So, the Rajput leader and the other rivals to the throne. Just as the first battle of Panipat had secured the throne of India for Babur, the second battle of Panipat in 1556 made Akbar the undisputed ruler of Hindustan. Undisputed, not disputed or called in question. The second battle of Panipat 1556. The second battle of Panipat was fought on 5th November 1556 between the chief minister of Suri Empire, Hemu, and the forces of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Hemu had conquered the states of Delhi and Agra a few weeks earlier by defeating the Mughals governor Todi Beg Khan at the Battle of Delhi. So, Akbar was on a campaign in the Punjab along with Bahram Khan when news of Humayun's sudden death was received. Here, campaign means, you can say, an organized course of action to achieve a goal. Akbar was immediately crowned by Bahram Khan as successor to the throne. Immediately, at once. Successor, one that follows, especially one who succeeds to a throne, title, estate, or office. When Hemu, the Prime Minister of Bengal, learned of Humayun's death, he swiftly marched to Agra and captured it. Walked quickly and with determination. Then he moved on to Delhi. Tadi Beg, the Mughal governor, left the city to Hemu, who crowned himself as King Vikramajit. Akbar's position was now precarious, dependent on chance, and Bahram Khan advised him to fight Hemu. Their armies met to the battlefield of Panipat in 1556. At first, the battle went in Hemu's favor, but then an arrow struck him in the eye. His Mahat tried to take him away from the battlefield, but this movement disheartened Hemu's soldiers, who thought he had been killed. They fled from the battlefield, and vast booty fell into the hands of Bahram Khan and Akbar. Booty, valuable stolen goods, especially those seized in war. The second battle of Panipat in 1556 is significant having a particular meaning, because this victory re-established the Mughal Empire firmly, and Delhi and Agra became the seats of Mughal rule. Students, Delhi and Agra are the states of India. The other two powerful enemies that Akbar had to face were the Afghan contenders to the throne of Delhi, Sher Shah's nephews Sikandar Sir and Muhammad Shah Adali. Muhammad Shah Adali. Sikandar Sir was besieged, besieged, surrounded by armed forces aiming to capture it or force surrender. Sikandar Sir was besieged in the fortress of Mankot, where he surrendered. He was given a Jagir and his son was provided for by Akbar. Muhammad Shah Adali lost his life fighting the ruler of Bengal. After the conquest of Gwalior and Jaunpur, Bahram Khan had consolidated the empire for Akbar. No one dared to challenge his rule any longer. Now come to the page number 39. Here is Bahram Khan. Who was Bahram Khan? Muhammad Bahram Khan was an important military commander and late commander-in-chief of the Mughal army, a powerful statesman and regent at the court of the Mughal emperors. So it was about this time that Akbar came into conflict with Bahram Khan. Akbar was now 18 years old and eager to take over the reins of government into his own hands. Reign a long, narrow strap attached at one end to a horse bit, and you can say that control, having a control. His mother Hamida Banu and his foster mother encouraged the development of something, especially something desirable. Maham Anga also polluted to get rid of Bahram Khan and bring the young king under their influence. Polluted secretly make plans to carry out an illegal or harmful action and influence the capacity to have an effect on the character. From Delhi, Akbar wrote to Bahram Khan that he had decided to rule independently and Bahram Khan should go on a pilgrimage to Makkah. Akbar also gave him a Jagir for his maintenance. However, as Bahram Khan proceeded for Makkah, began a course of action. He was ambushed. Ambushed to suddenly attack someone after hiding and waiting for them. He was ambushed and murdered by an Afghan near Gujarat. Bahram Khan's young son Abdurrahim was brought to life at the court of Akbar. He was educated and trained by Akbar in court affairs and rose the position of Khanan. He married the daughter of Prince Daniel, Akbar's third son. During the years 1561 to 64, Akbar remained under the influence of his foster mother Maham Anga, whose capacity for intrigue, make secret plans to do something illicit, gained her this position. However, she made the mistake of favoring her son, Adam Khan, and her relatives. Akbar saw how Adam Khan was misusing his position when the latter killed the Prime Minister Shamsuddin Atgha Khan. In a fit of rage, Akbar had Adam Khan captured and thrown to death from the wall of the Agra fort. Maham Anga did not protest, but she was so affected that she died a few months later. Akbar and the Rajputs. From 1564 onwards, Akbar showed his genius both in conquest and government of the empire. For this, he had to subdue the Rajputs, overcome, or bring under control. For this, he had to subdue the Rajputs, who were a proud military race. The strong fortresses of Chittor and Ranthambore were conquered in 1568 and 1569 respectively. The siege and capture of Chittor left it in such a state. Siege, a military operation in which enemy forces surround a town or building. So the siege and capture of Chittor left it in such a state that it never regained its position. Next, Akbar captured the Rajput state of Jaipur, but Mewar kept its independence under its leader, Rana Pratap. Akbar then followed a policy of reconciliation, a situation in which two people or group of people become friendly again after they have agreed. So Akbar then followed a policy of reconciliation with the Rajputs to make sure that his empire rested on a solid foundation. To accomplish this, he appointed Rajput nobles at important positions in his empire. He also married the eldest daughter of Raja Bihari Mal of Jaipur and later on princes from Bikaner and Jaisalmer as well. Akbar's son Prince Salim married the daughter of Raja Bhagwan Das. Marrying among the Hindus was not uncommon for the royalty, and the wives adapted to the Muslim way. Adapted makes something suitable for a new use or purpose. And the wives adapted to the Muslim way of life. They proved loyal and valuable in the service of the empire. The jizya imposed on non-Muslims in return for state protection. What is jizya? Historically, a tax paid by non-Muslim populations to their Muslim rulers. And the pilgrimage tax paid by Hindus were abolished to placate the Hindu population. Placate, make less angry or hostile. Further conquests. A revolt in Gujarat. Revolt take violent action against an established government or ruler. A revolt in Gujarat in 1573 made Akbar leave his palace in Sikri with 3,000 horsemen covering a distance of 600 miles in 9 days. He defeated the uprising, an act of opposition. With the capture of Gujarat, the port town of Surat was acquired. It was rich in cotton and indigo. Indigo, a blue dye obtained from plant. Indigo trade and gave the Mughals free access to the sea to open trade with Arabia, the Persian Gulf, and Egypt. The Mughals also came into contact with the Portuguese, who had captured Goa and Diu in 1580. In 1582, the Portuguese tried to plunder steal goods from a place or person. Surat plundered Surat, but the Mughal army defended it successfully. Tudor Mal, Akbar's finance minister, Tudor Mal. He was Akbar's finance minister, made his first revenue settlement in Gujarat. The system was later modified and used for the whole of India. The rich province of Bengal, with its rice, silk, and saltpeter chemical, potassium nitrate, was conquered in 1574 to 76. By the 1590s, the Mughal Empire under Akbar included the entire basins of the rivers Indus and Ganges and the Deccan, comprising Berar, Khandesh, and Ahmednagar, which were added on as new provinces, as well as Orissa in the east and Sindh in the west. The famed provinces of Kabul, Balkh, and Badakhshan in the northwest were also part of Akbar's empire. He appointed princes and various nobles as governors of these provinces. By 1605, Akbar ruled an empire spreading from the Bay of Bengal in the east to the Arabian Sea in the west, and from Kashmir and the Himalayas in the north to the river Narmada in the south. Akbar's administration, the Mansabdari system. What is Mansabdari system? Mansab is an Arabic word which means a post, a rank. So, Mansabdar means an officer or the holder of the rank, status, and post. So, Akbar is credited with setting up an administration that was later followed by his successors and in many ways by the British, who took over the government after the fall of the Mughal Empire. The main feature of this system was the mansab or office a person held, and it was approved by the emperor. The mansabs were divided into 33 ranks. There were 33 ranks for mansabs, each rank dependent upon the number of horses that a mansabdar could keep and maintain for use when the emperor needed an army to fight. The higher ranks were from 5 to 10,000 cavalry and were mostly given to princes of the royal blood. The ranks from 5,000 to 500 were held by the nobles of the kingdom, and the lowest mansabdar was a commander of 10 horses only. The mansabdars were appointed from the best talent in the empire and were given salaries by the emperors to maintain their ranks. Both military and civilian posts were held by them. Jagirs were awarded but were returned to the state on the death of the Mansabdar. During Akbar's reign, there were 21 Hindus who held the rank of 5,000 and above. Todarmal. a Hindu, rose to be the Diwan, Minister of Revenue, and also Wazir, Prime Minister. The whole of the Mughal Empire was divided into 12 subas or provinces and subdivided into sarkars or districts, and further subdivided into parganas or sub-districts. Each province was governed by a subedar or governor who maintained as lavish a court as the emperor whom he served. Municipalities had a kotwal or mayor with military officers, faujdars, and district revenue collectors, alamguzars. Todarmal's revenue settlement 1582. The genius of Akbar's administration lay in the system of collection of land revenue. Genius, exceptional intellectual, creative power, or other natural ability. The rates were fixed at 1/3 after survey of the land, its yield capacity and measurement, and the amount was collected directly from the individual. This was done under Todarmal in 1582 and first applied to Gujarat. Gujarat is a city now in Pakistan. It was successful because for 10 years the fixed land tax gave the peasant security. Peasant, a poor smallholder or agricultural laborer. And the revenue officers strictly managed the system, which discouraged fraud or abuse. The Royal Mint was reorganized in 1577 to 1578 and put in charge of a renowned artist, Abdus Samad. It was well managed and the coinage of Akbar's time was plentiful. Coins collectively. It was plentiful and of good quality. Akbar, like his ancestors and his successors, contributed to architecture and construction. Humayun's tomb in Delhi has been built in a beautiful classical style that became the template for later mausoleum. A template is a pattern, model, or guide for the creation of some kind of project. Mausoleum, a stately or impressive building housing a tomb or group of tombs. The palace city of Sikri was built by Akbar to honor the Sufi saint Khwaja Salim Chishti, who lived there. Akbar believed that the birth of his son Salim, named after the saint, was in answer to his prayers. The construction began in 1571 and was completed in 6 years. It was named Fatehpur Sikri and a grand entrance to the mosque, Buland Darwaza, was added to mark the conquest of Gujarat in 1575 to 1576. However, after 15 years, the city was abandoned when Akbar moved north back to Delhi. Akbar also had to attack fort built on a hillside overlooking the confluence of the Kabul and Indus rivers. This was a military stronghold that protected the empire from invaders from the northwest, and it still stands today. Invader to enter by force in order to conquer. And confluence, I have told you the meaning before. The junction of two rivers, especially rivers of approximately equal width. Akbar's marathon or 9 jewels. Surprisingly, Akbar was not illiterate despite the efforts to educate him during his childhood. Yet he had a very sharp mind and keen interest in knowledge. He would have books read out to him and learnt from the people around him. His court was known for the scholars and other brilliant people who surrounded him and managed to inform and enlighten Akbar's curiosity and creativity. The two brothers, Abul Fazl and Faizi, and their father Sheikh Mubarak inspired the spiritual side of Akbar, which led to his Sulakul policy of religious tolerance. Along with Abul Fazl and Faizi were Barbal, Tansen, Mansingh, Todarmal, Abdurrahim, Khana Khana, Fakir, Ayazuddin, and Mullah do Piazza, the 9 jewels of his court, the Noratan. Religion. In matters of religion, Akbar followed the principle of universal toleration, sulakul, and it is evident that he was not a rigidly orthodox Muslim. Orthodox, following to the traditional or generally accepted rules or beliefs of a religion. The 16th century was an age of inquiry, and Akbar's natural curiosity in matters of faith was also affected. He had religious discussions in the Ibadat Khana of Fatehpur Sikri and invited people of all faiths, Jews from Spain, Sufi scholars, Hindu mystics, and Sikh leaders to these discussions. He had religious discussions in the Ibadat Khana of Fatehpur Sikri and invited people of all faiths, Jesuits from Spain, Sufi scholars, Hindu mystics, and Sikh leaders to these discussions. Earlier Hindu reformers Guru Nanak, Chaitanya and Kabir had also been influenced by Islam and Hinduism, and Islam had been brought closer through the teachings of Guru Nanak. Following the discussions in his Ibadat Khana, Akbar is reported to have said, "My sole object is to ascertain the truth. Ascertain, find something out for certain, make sure of. My sole object is to ascertain the truth, to find out and disclose the principles of genuine religion, and to trace it to the divine origin." Eventually, Akbar decided to combine both political and spiritual power in his person in order to bring about harmony amongst his people. A khutbah to proclaim this was prepared by Faizi and read out by Akbar. According to this, infallibility means an inability to be wrong. According to this infallibility decree of 1579, decree an official order that has the force of law. Akbar was to be the Imam-e Adl, the final interpreter a person who provides an oral translation between speakers who speak different languages, interpreter of Muslim law and supreme judge in religious matters. The ulama were angry as their power had been reduced by this decree. Henry VIII of England had also done something similar when he became head of the Church of England and was no longer answerable to the Pope in Rome. Akbar's Deen-e-Ilahi was an attempt at political unity by introducing a creed, a system of religious belief, creed acceptable to all of Hindustan. It had rituals. Rituals are religious ceremony consisting of a series of action performed according to a prescribed order. It had rituals taken from different religions such as abstaining from eating meat, abstaining to stay away from work, as well as some aspects of Persian and Zoroastrian rituals. But on the whole, a new faith was rejected by both Hindus and Muslims, and since it was not forced on anyone, Deen-e-Ilahi died out with Akbar. The Ibadat Khana was also demolished to completely destroy a building. Akbar as a king. Akbar's greatness lies in his courage and tenacity. Tenacity, the quality or fact of being able to grip something firmly. Tenacity to bring the whole of the subcontinent under his control as one country. And through his tolerant and flexible policies, he tried to bring unity among the diverse people of his empire, diverse showing a great deal of variety. His vision became a reality through stable and good administration which gave security, prosperity and wealth to the people. Akbar is called Mughal-e-Azam, the great Mughal king, because his character was such that a historian says of him, he possessed that broad-minded sympathy, that capacity to trust and know, evoke to cause something to be remembered or expressed. The generous confidence in a loyal people which enabled him to wield together a great and durable empire out of the poor fragments left to him by his father. Fragment, a small part broken off or separated from something. In 1600, Prince Salim revolted against his father, revolted to take violent action against authority, and announced officially or publicly, and proclaimed himself emperor. For the next 3 years, father and son barely spoke to each other. They were reconciled, restore friendly relations between. They were reconciled in 1604, a year before Akbar became ill and died. On his deathbed, Akbar formally declared Salim as his successor. Around this time, some nobles intrigued to put Prince Khosrow Prince Salim's son on the throne. The Sikhs also tried to meddle in the succession to the Mughal throne. The Sikhs. Who were Sikhs? Sikh is an Indian religion that originated in the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent around the end of the 15th century CE. So Guru Nanak, 1469 to 1539, founded the Sikh sect in the Punjab. His teachings formed a creed derived by combining what he believed to be the best of Islam and Hinduism to unite the two communities, Hindus and Muslims. Born in the village now known as Nankana Sahib in present-day Pakistan, Nanak travelled widely in the subcontinent, as far east as Assam, and from the Himalayas in the north down to Sri Lanka in the south. He is even believed to have visited Baghdad and Makkah. He was a man of peace and took the concepts of monotheism, belief that there is only one God. He was a man of peace and took the concepts of monotheism, equality, and brotherhood from Islam. His teachings have been compiled into a book called Guru Granth Sahib. In 1577, Akbar granted the fourth Guru land in Amritsar, where the tank and the golden temple were later built, making it the focus of the Sikh people and their faith. The successors of Guru Nanak were local chiefs, and later they started to interfere in Mughal government and politics. Jahangir executed, put a plan, order, a course of action into effect. Jahangir executed Guru Arjan Dev for treason, the crime of showing no loyalty to your country, as he had helped Prince Khusru in the illegal succession to the throne. Later in 1675, Aurangzeb executed Guru Tegh Bahadur, creating a feud between Mughals and Sikhs. Feud, a prolonged and bitter quarrel or dispute. Creating a feud between Mughals and the Sikhs, which was to last for many years. Tegh Bahadur's successor, Guru Gobind Singh, transformed Sikhs into a military sect and vowed to avenge the death of his father. In doing that, Sikhism became a religion distinct from Hinduism and Islam. It matched some of the beliefs of the Muslims, such as allowing meat as part of the diet, a holy book, holy warriors called Akis like the Muslims' Ghazis, and martyrdom. Just before his death, Guru Gobind Singh submitted to Bahadur Shah I, but the emperor too died before he could receive him at court. There were no successors to Guru Gobind to guide the Sikhs, though some people made claims. However, the enmity towards the Muslims continued among the Sikhs for a very long time. We will read more about the Sikhs and another of their famous rulers, Ranjit Singh, in later chapters. So students, this is your lesson for today. I hope you have understood a lot about Akbar and the consolidation of the Mughal Empire. Thank you for listening. Take care. Allah Hafiz.